Mantour Ministries presents the Mantour Guy Podcast. We may talk about football. We could mention bacon. We might reference Rocky movies. We'll probably discuss the Mantour conferences, but we'll definitely talk about how to grow in our walk with God. Here's your host, the Mantour Guy, Jamie Holden.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Mantour Guy Podcast. Jamie Holden here, and I am so glad to be back with you again this week. Well, let me start off by saying Happy Father's Day. I know I'm a little early, but this pod, if I waited another week, Father's Day would have been over. So we're going to do our Father's Day podcast this week, and I'm so happy to be able to speak to you this week and honor all the fathers out there. How many of you remember to get your dad a Father's Day present? You know, it's coming up real fast. There's still time to do it. And I did some research online to see what some of the most popular gifts for fathers were this year. And here's some of what I found. People are buying a nice tie, something really cool, a bouquet of bacon. I mean, who wouldn't love to find a bouquet of bacon wrapped up like flowers? I mean, dude, anybody would love that. An iPad or an electronic device. Power tools are always popular Father's Day gifts. Gift cards, that's what I got my dad. Funny t-shirts, and then there were some unusual gifts I found that people are buying their fathers for Father's Day, like underwear gloves. And if you don't never seen this, Google it. It's gloves that you put in your hand, but they look like underwear. It's the weirdest thing ever. A toilet coffee mug. It's a coffee mug that is shaped and it looks just like a toilet. It's kind of funny, but it's also kind of odd. A bacon mug, a mug with bacon on it. Actually, bacon was a really popular theme when I did my research. There was people were buying bacon socks. There was a bacon necktie. The tie actually looked like a piece of bacon. It's really not that attractive, but yeah, it's kind of a cool gift. There was even bacon-scented cologne. And I'm sure no matter what your kids get you this Sunday, whether it's a hand-drawn picture or an expensive Apple Watch, you're going to love it because you're their dad and you love them. And I want to this week in this podcast switch away from the gifts that your kids give to you on Father's Day, and I want to look at some of the gifts that you as a father should give to your kids each and every day. These gifts will help your children grow in their faith and into the kind of adults that you want them to be. So, what are these gifts? Well, the first gift we're going to look at is the gift of your time. I mean, we live in a fast-paced society, and time is one of our most precious commodities. It's the one thing, we never seem to have enough of in life. It always seems like we never have enough time. And because we prioritize our time, we give the most time to the things we think are most important to us. So, that would stand to reason that your children will get the best chunks of your time. And when I say this, I mean having quality time together, talking, playing together, having fun together, time teaching your kids, time sharing your faith, walk with God with your children. But unfortunately, too often as men, this isn't how time gets prioritized. And often our jobs and the career, they get the best part of our time. All right, now I'm not saying you should quit your job or you should not give your job the full 40 hours a week that it deserves. God has called every one of us to be good workers and good stewards of the jobs He has given to us. What I am saying is that every job has a quitting time and you need to leave work at work. All right, now I'm not a father. You all know that I'm not a dad. But I do have family in my life, and this is a lesson that I really struggled with many years ago. I would work 60, 70 hours a week. I'd work 7 days a week, and I'd even work on holidays. Even on Christmas and on Easter I would work. It was an area my mentor really cracked down on me and made me make changes in my life. He showed me that I was giving everything to my ministry, and I was leaving very little for those other people in my life. And he began to make me do things to make sure I had quitting time each day. I had to start taking one day off a week. And then when Christmas rolled around that year, he not only made me not work on Christmas Day, he required me to take off the week before and the week after Christmas that particular year to rest and refuel heading into our New Year conferences. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking, wow, Jamie, that's really tough. Somebody made you take 2 weeks off. You probably think that's awesome and wish you could have had 2 weeks off for Christmas. But for me, it was torture. It was really hard for me to just stop, do nothing after going so hard for so long. But it helped me realize that my mentor was right, and my balancing of time was completely out of whack. I had to start giving my time to family and friends. Ecclesiastes 3 says this: "There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. There's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down, a time to build up. There's a time to weep, a time to laugh. There's a time to mourn, and there's a time to dance. There's a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. There's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. There's a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away. There's a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, and a time for war and a time for peace." All right, in that passage, notice it doesn't say that all time is for work. It said there should be things like a time to laugh, a time to dance, a time to embrace, and a time to love. Dads, you need to leave work at work time and give your time to your children and your wife. I know a man who really invested all of his time and effort into his career, and as you would expect, it really damaged his family. And as he saw his family slowly falling apart, he realized he'd given his job too much of his focus after hours. So what he decided to do was pick a spot in his commute home. When he passed a certain billboard, he passed it every day. And when he drove past that billboard, he would force himself to stop thinking about work. He would leave work at that billboard and everything related with it. So when he got home, he could focus fully on his home life. Then when he drove back to work the next day, as soon as he passed that billboard, he flipped his mind back to work. This man realized what I'm sharing with you today. His wife and his children were understanding the low amount of time he gave them was a sign of the low level of priority they were in his life. And when he focused time solely on them, they could see they were a priority to him, and it was the best gift that he could give to them. Guys, in order to give time to your children, you're gonna have to sacrifice other things. You may have to sacrifice some things you enjoy to spend time doing things you may not enjoy as much. But time is a huge gift you can give your kids, and it's a gift that is eternal, yet you can never get it back. All right, let's look at the second gift. The second gift you can give to your children every day is spiritual disciplines. One of the biggest responsibilities you have as a father is teaching your kids how to have a relationship with God. It is the most important thing you can do. Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it." Your job, your number one job as a Christian father, is to pass your walk with God on to your children. You need to be teaching your kids at a young age how to implement their spiritual disciplines into their daily lives. Really, guys, it's your job to teach your children to have a spiritual life. Deuteronomy 6:6-9 says, "Write these commandments that I've given you today in your hearts. Get them inside of you, and then get them inside your children. Talk about them wherever you are, sitting at home or walking the street. Talk about them from the time you get up in the morning to when you fall into bed at night. Tie them on your hands and foreheads as a reminder. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your homes and on your city gates." Guys, that verse is there. They're pretty clear. The responsibility of teaching your kids the ways of God, it's up to you. You need to be the one teaching them the spiritual disciplines and how to do them. So what are these disciplines? Well, the first one is Bible reading. Guys, as soon as your kids are old enough to read, you need to teach them to read the Bible. And even before that, you should be reading the Bible to them. They need to see their dad spending time in God's Word. And when they are old enough to read, they're going to understand how important it is to you, and they're going to want to do it. I remember when I was just a little boy, my mom taught me that there are 31 Proverbs, so if I read one proverb every day, I could read the entire book in a month. And I remember she gave me a navy blue hardcover Living Bible, which is basically 35 years ago's version of the Message. It's a transliteration that was easy for a kid to read. And I can't count how many times I have read Proverbs over my life. Well, I could if I did the math, but an awful lot of times. I have read Proverbs over my life because my mom taught this to me. I've learned to read Psalms when feeling discouraged, to read the Gospel because they're the actual words of Jesus. Man, you should teach your kids to daily read the Bible. It is a habit that will benefit them every day. And then you need to teach your kids to pray. At a young age, pray with them and teach them how they can pray. I just spent a few days with some friends who have a 2-year-old little girl, a beautiful little girl, and this girl already knows, and she actually demands that you pray before you eat. It was so funny. One night she was having a snack, and nobody else was eating, but she said, "Red, sit down and pray." Well, she eats this little snack. It was so cute, but she knows already how to thank Jesus for the good things that she experiences at 2 years old. Guys, you need to be teaching your kids to pray. If they're young, talk them through the prayers, telling them what to say. As they grow older, teach them to make a list of prayer requests and spend time each day asking God for these prayer requests. As they grow even older in the early teen years, teach them to praise God in their prayer time, to present the requests, and then to spend time listening to God speaking to them. Guys, you need to be the one that teaches your children how to pray and communicate with God. It's your job, and you need to take it seriously. The third spiritual discipline you need to teach your kids is how to have family devotions. I truly believe that every day a family should get together, turn off the TV, unplug all the phones and tablets, and have family devotions. Dad, you need to take the lead on this. Don't dump it on your wives. Don't make your wife be the one to do it. Trust me, she will find you to be a hero if you're the one that takes responsibilities to do this. Read a passage of scripture together, discuss what it means, and pray together. It's not that hard. It's very simple. It sounds hard, but it isn't. It just requires sacrificing some time at night and a willingness to invest spiritually to your children. The next discipline you need to teach your children is the discipline of going to church. And you don't really hear that mentioned as a discipline that much anymore. One of the saddest trends I see in society today is families not making faithful church attendance a priority. Often church attendance gets passed over in place of sporting events, activities, and things like that. I would recommend you make it a rule that if an activity or an event is the same day as church, your kids don't need to play those sports or do those activities. When I was a kid, I was part of a baseball little league. However, if a game or practice fell on Wednesday nights, I wasn't allowed to go. The league back then, they didn't have Sunday games, but if they did, I wouldn't have been part of the league. My mom prioritized church over activities, and I am so grateful that she did it. I can honestly say I have very few memories of those little league games, but I have, to this day, vivid memories of what God did at the altar in church services. You need to make going to church a priority and make it a discipline that you teach your children every week. And the final discipline I want to discuss with you guys is tithing. You need to teach your kids how to tithe. I can remember being a little kid, maybe around 5, and having my mom teach me how to tithe. If I found a dime, a penny went to God. I have lived my entire life like this, and I have never regretted it. God has always been faithful and supplied my financial needs because I have been faithful at giving him my tithes. You have to teach your kids to tithe. And you're probably thinking, teach kids to tithe? Seriously? And I know it seems silly. Why require a child to give up a penny if they have a dime? Honestly, your church can survive without the penny, right? And I'm sure that your pastors all love me saying that. But, it isn't about that. It's about making it a part of the norm for them. If giving a penny to God when you have a dime at 3-year-olds is a norm, your child is never going to think of not tithing when it's a $500 tithe when they earn $5,000. It will be natural, it will be normal, and they will obey God when it comes to their finances. All right, guys, before we move on to the third gift, one more quick note about spiritual disciplines before we go on to the next gift. Guys, you can't teach what you don't know. You need to be making these spiritual disciplines a part of your life so you can teach your kids to do them. If you demand that they do it, but they don't see you doing it yourself, they'll see hypocrisy and they won't do it. So guys, lead by example. All right, so what is gift number 3? The third gift you can give to your children is to love their mom. Guys, your kids need to see that you love their mother. They need to see that you love her and they are devoted to her. It is so damaging to a child if they see their father mistreating or disrespecting their mothers. As a father, your kids need to see you loving your wife the way Jesus wants you to do it. Ephesians 5 tells us how men should love their wives. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Guys, Christ lived a life of sacrifice and service. He gave himself daily for us. And husbands, you need to love your wife in the same way. I can tell you firsthand, it is devastating for a child to know that their father doesn't love their mother. I watched my father over and over demonstrate through his words and his actions that he didn't love my mom. It is so painful. And it not only affected their relationship, but affected my relationship with my dad as well. Dads, if you're divorced, this gift, it still applies to you. Your kids need you to get along with your ex-wife. They need to see that even though you're no longer married or living together, you can still coexist. I have a friend who went through a divorce, and he kept saying he doesn't want to be divorced because his kids need a dad. And he's right. But he has to adjust how he is a dad to his kids in this new situation. And even though they're no longer married, he needs to coexist with his ex-wife and treat her with love and dignity. Divorced dads, you need to respect her, work together with her, back her up, and listen to this, never ever, I repeat that, never ever badmouth her to your kids. All right, guys, so what is our fourth gift that every father should give to their children? We'll find out right after the break.
I know you're gonna dig this.
Like what you're hearing? Head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Thanks.
All men want one thing in life, to be remembered. The good news is we all have a legacy. This is the question though, will you leave behind a good legacy or a bad legacy? Learn how to create a godly legacy in Mantour Ministries' book, Legacy, Living a Life That Lasts. By reading the stories of godly men from the Bible, working through the study questions, and taking up the legacy challenges at the end of each chapter, you'll be well on your way to living a life that lasts. It also includes a bonus workbook that you can use with your small groups. Order your copy today at mantourministries.com. How will you be remembered?
Order your copy today at mantourministries.com.
Listen to the Mantour Guy podcast on the go via Apple Podcast and Google Play. Thanks.
With the advent of the internet, pornography became affordable, anonymous, and accessible. And with this affordability, anonymity, and accessibility, porn in the minds of many gained a greater acceptability. What we once called hardcore porn, we now call softcore porn. What we once considered softcore, we just now call Game of Thrones. Today, one can easily say that porn has become the norm, and that is even among churchgoers. A recent survey discovered that 64% of Christian men admit that they view pornography at least monthly. That percentage goes up to 77% when considering just millennials, those who are 18 to 30 years old. Among millennials, 36% say they view porn daily. The same survey looked at women, and 13% of Christian women said they had never looked at porn. 33% said that they view porn at least a few times a year, and 15% said they view it at least once a month. To get 250 more pornography statistics, complete with original references and sources, go to covenanteyes.com/pornstats and download the complete report for free.
Sign up for Covenant Eyes using the code Mantour at checkout and receive 1 month of free service. Visit covenanteyes.com today to sign up, and remember, 1 month of free service when you use the code Mantour. That's MANTOUR.
Yep. You're listening to the Mantour Guy Podcast.
Hey guys, Jamie Holden here, and I want to tell you that God is moving in our prison systems. And Mantour Ministries, well, we're on the front lines, and you can help. We are giving inmates our books and resources, and guys, the testimonies we're receiving back have been amazing. One person reported that they had 30 men gathering, and 25 of them were delivered and set free from anger. Another shows how the men are weekly working together through our books and how men are growing spiritually. They're starting to have devotions and have prayer time and Bible reading in their individual lives, and they're growing. Guys, I could go on and on. Chains of bondage are being broken among our inmates. You can help us reach even more hurting men inside our prison systems when you become a monthly financial partner with Mantour Ministries. You can become a partner with us by going to mantourministries.com/partner and clicking on the Give Online button. Guys, together we can continue reaching men in our correctional institutions with the life-changing truth of the gospel.
The Mantour Guy Podcast, helping men grow in their walk with God.
Hey guys, Mantour Guy Jamie Holden here. Are you looking for a speaker at your church or for your men's breakfast, or your next men's event, men's retreat, or men's conference? Well, why not bring me in to speak? God has been moving among men as I've been sharing an encouraging word of freedom and victory. We're seeing lives change, men being saved, people being set free, and guys, chains are being broken. So if your church has hurting men and women, contact me to come share this encouraging word of hope and victory to help you grow in your walk with God.
Welcome back to the Mantour Guy Podcast.
Welcome back, guys, as we look at the 5 gifts that every father can give to their children daily during this special Father's Day episode. Well, guys, gift number 4 that you can give to your children is to apologize when you're wrong. There is one truth that we cannot deny. All fathers are human beings. No matter how great of a person or father a man is, eventually you're going to make a mistake. You're going to lose your temper or in some way do something that's going to hurt your children emotionally and just upset them. You're going to mess up. It happens. But how you handle these situations goes a long way to how your relationship with your kids grows. I believe it is important for fathers to apologize to their kids when they are wrong and they make a mistake. I know in my life, my mom was a very passionate woman, and sometimes this passion came out as bursts of anger and not responding properly. But one thing I always respect about my mom is that she would always apologize and she would ask forgiveness. It showed me that she cared about me and my feelings, and also set an example for me of how I should live. I honestly can only remember one time when my dad apologized to me in my life, and it was when I was in my 40s. I encourage you fathers today, follow my mom's example and not my dad's, and make sure to apologize to your kids and let them know you truly are sorry when you make a mistake. So how do you apologize? Well, first make sure you actually ask for forgiveness instead of just saying you're sorry. Try and be specific as possible as to why you're apologizing based on the age and appropriateness of your child. Make sure to be humble and explain why you're apologizing to them, and always end it with a hug. This action will affect your kids more than you can ever imagine. So guys, give your kids the gifts of apologies. Alright, now let's unwrap the 5th and final gift. And that gift that you can give to your children is standards. The final gift I want to recommend you that you give to children is to have rules and standards for your kids to follow and obey. We live in a society where the lines have been blurred to the point you can barely see them anymore, and unfortunately it is leaking into the Christian world. I have seen so many times on social media where Christians are posting about doing things or going places or watching things that, to be honest with you guys, Christians have no business doing. Guys, compromise is killing God's children today. In the past, the church has gotten stuck in legalism, but now that pendulum has swung so far in the other direction that sometimes you can't even tell the difference between the church and the world. Recently, I had a friend tell me about a conversation they had with an unsaved man. They were trying to get this man to become a Christian, and he said to them, "Honestly, what's the difference between me and the people in your church other than the fact that they attend church? They watch the same TV and movies, they listen to the same music, they go to the same clubs, they drink the same alcohol, they dress the same, they talk the same way, they have the same problems, they get defeated by the same struggles. Other than them going to church, what makes them different from me?" And my friend said it really made them stop and think. And yet he has a point. In an effort to be relevant and relatable, we're forgetting to be light to a dark world. Men, the world should see something different when they look at our lives. You need to set standards for your kids. You have to live according to those standards, and you need to make them do the same. One reason is because, like it or not, at some point your kids are going to test the lines you've drawn. They're going to push those boundaries. And when you draw the boundary lines that are close to the biblical standards, when your kids test the boundaries, they will be nowhere near that danger zone. And as an adult, I am so glad I am reaping the rewards of a mom with strong convictions rather than reaping the consequences of compromise and sin. So often when I hear parents talking about this issue, I want to say, have the courage to stand your ground and stick to your rules like my mom did. Although it's stressful and really hard on you, it's the best thing for your kids. And even though they don't like it, someday they will thank you for it. And then I share my testimony with them. Although my sister and I both lived under the same rules, I was the one of the two of us that really struggled with the desire to be like everyone else. I wanted to be the same as everyone else. My mom and I had plenty of battles over her rules and why couldn't we just do the things everyone else was doing. I remember one time she found a cassette tape, and yes, I said a cassette tape. That shows how old I am. If you're listening, you don't know what that is, Google is your friend. But anyways, I wasn't supposed to have this cassette tape, and she found it in my car. And she found it, and she confronted me with it right in the parking lot of Kmart, and then she threw it into a public waste can, and there was no way I was jumping in after that. It was a disgusting public waste can, and I wasn't going after it, and I was so mad. I was furious. Who was she to throw my tape away? I was a teenager, I had rights. Well, the truth was that she was the mom. According to the Bible, I didn't have any rights, and she had God-given authority to establish rules and expect them to be obeyed. And even more importantly, she had the God-given responsibility to train her children in the fear and admonition of God. Realistically, she had the maturity that comes from living longer than me and my sister did, and this is what gave her the right to make rules and expect them to be obeyed. And it was just one of the many battles my mom fought as she chose to stand her ground and enforce the rules she felt God would have followed. There is no doubt about it. Kathy Holden was strict. However, these many years later, I can see that her strict rules and her courage to enforce them were one of the greatest blessings in our lives. And why is that? Because the truth is that all children, like I said, are going to push those boundaries. However, because my mom drew the boundaries so close to biblical standards, whenever my sister and I tested the boundaries, we were nowhere near the danger zone. And as an adult, I am so glad that I'm reaping the rewards of a mom with strong conviction rather than reaping the consequences of compromise and sin. Dads, one of the best gifts you can give your kids is to lay down strict standards. Have the courage, tenacity, and strength to stand by these rules and boundaries no matter what comes against you, even if it's the wrath of an angry teenager. Stand your ground and say, these are the rules we live by. While you live in my house, you live by these rules. If you don't obey the rules, you're going to suffer the consequences, and then you'll live by these rules. Your kids may not thank you for it now, but I guarantee you, in the future, when they look back on their life, they will thank you. More than likely, guys, it's not going to take that long. They're probably going to thank you when they see their friends get into deep trouble for doing the things that you didn't let them go along with and do. Either way, though, standards are an amazing gift to give to your kids. Well, guys, I'm going to end with the same verse we read earlier. Train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it. I am grateful if my mom did this for me. Honestly, I am old now, and I have not departed from her standards. I still live a strict lifestyle, and I'm grateful that she taught me how to live this way. Dads, you need to set the standards in your home, and your kids will grow into the adults that you want them to be. So there you have it, 5 gifts that you can give to your kids daily. They are life-changing investments that you can make that will help your children grow into godly men and women that you desire for them to be.
The Mantour Guy's final thought.
Guys, as we come to a close today, I want to end by encouraging you today. Encouragement is not something fathers get in today's society. Fathers have become the butt of jokes, the reasons for society's problems, and honestly, you're being basically ignored. Honestly, a lot of people won't even do Father's Day episodes or things like that for Father's Day anymore because of this. But I felt it was important to do a specific Father's Day episode to honor all the dads out there. Because in reality, fatherhood is your calling. If you have children, you have a divine calling from God to be their father. It's not something for you to take lightly. It needs to be your driving force. You work to provide for your kids. Your relaxation time is not your own anymore. It is for you and for your kids. It requires responsibility, follow-through, and commitment. So today I want to end this podcast by praying for every one of the fathers out there today. Father, I just thank you for every man who has answered the divine call to be a father to their family. And Father, whether it be a father who's still married, who may have dealt with a divorce, Father, no matter what the situation, help this man to make their children their number one priority. Father, give them the strength, the courage, and the perseverance to take these 5 gifts that we've discussed today and apply them to their lives and to teach them to their kids, to give them to their kids. Help them as they learn how to handle their time properly as they make their children their priority, doing no matter what it takes to give the children the time that they need. Father, help them as they teach their kids the spiritual disciplines that are so vital for every Christian to know. Father, help them as they teach their kids the standards and the rules and give them the spine of iron as they uphold these standards in their lives, Father God. Help them realize their children need standards and to hold firm that it's good for their children. Father, I pray that you'll help them when they make mistakes to realize they need to apologize for these mistakes and do it with a humble, sincere heart so their children can see that they really meant the apology. And Father, help them all, no matter what they're married or divorced, to show their children that they still love their mom and to treat their mom with the dignity, love, and respect that she deserves. These are great gifts that they can give to their children. Father, help them to implement the words in this podcast to their lives. Bless them, Father, as they fulfill your divine call of parenting the children you've given to them, and give them an amazing, wonderful Father's Day. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Guys, happy Father's Day, and enjoy it. Enjoy the day. Make the most of it, and just love on your kids. Well, guys, once again, thank you for listening, for giving us your time today to listen. We love it if you shared this podcast to your social media accounts and also gave us good ratings and review on iTunes, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Also, don't forget to visit MantourMinistries.com to learn more about our conferences, our books, and our resources. If you haven't bought a Father's Day gift yet for your dad, maybe give him one of our books. You can order it and do an express shipping cost, and we'll get it to you in time for Father's Day. Or go to Amazon. You can buy it there on Amazon Prime or with express shipping and buy one of our Mantour Ministry books. Give it to your dad. I know he'd love it. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Mantour Guide podcast. And once again, happy Father's Day.
Thanks for listening to the Mantour Guy Podcast. Be sure to visit MantourMinistries.com to learn more about our books, men's ministry resources, and our Mantour conferences.
Hey guys, Mantour Guy Jamie Holden here. Are you looking for a speaker at your church or for your men's breakfast, your next men's event, men's retreat, or men's conference? Well, why not bring me in to speak? God has been moving among men as I've been sharing an encouraging word of freedom and victory. We're seeing lives change, men being saved, people being set free, and guys, chains are being broken. So if your church has hurting men and women, contact me to come share this encouraging word of hope and victory to help you grow in your walk with God. One more thing before I wrap up this week, guys. You need to head to covenanteyes.com and sign up today to protect you and your loved ones from the many traps awaiting you on the internet. You know, I am a Covenant Eyes user. I just signed my 69-year-old father up and put Covenant Eyes on his phone and his laptop. I believe in it. It's an amazing tool that helps you stay pure online. Guys, I encourage you to try it today. If you use the code Mantour, you get 30 free days. That's 30 free days. What do you have to lose? So head to covenanteyes.com, try it today. Like I said, what do you have to lose, guys?
The Mantour Guy Podcast, helping men grow in their walk with God.